We had the perfect day in Puerto Vallarta. Started with a bus ride to Boca de Tomatlan and then a boat to Quimixto. We then hiked through the town and along a pathway up to the waterfalls. The falls are absolutely beautiful and a great place to swim. Also a great place to grab a beverage and a snack before heading back into town and finding a beach club. The hike is relatively easy and only 2 kilometers each way. The beach club we selected is called El Volador, and the beach is just perfect to sit back and relax and grab a beverage. And lunch, of course. Coconut shrimp, stuffed avocado, and nachos were delicious. After lunch, we had a swim. Then we had the owner of the restaurant call us a boat, which took us over to Los Arcos, and we had a quick tour of the rock formation there before heading into Mismaloya. Mismaloya is just picture perfect. It has a nice stream that runs into the ocean at the bay. The bay has great sand, perfect for walking and swimming. And of course, lots of beach clubs if you want to grab another beverage and something else to eat. We then walked up to the highway and caught our bus back to Boca de Tomatlan. A perfect day. This entire excursion is very easy to do yourself, so for the rest of this video, I'll walk you through it. So the first thing you have to do is catch a bus to Boca de Tomatlan, and you catch that at the corner of Badillo and Constitution in the downtown. The bus ride from the downtown to Boca de Tomatlan takes between 25 and 35 minutes, depending on how many people are on board and how many stops the bus has to take. Usually in the morning, there can be a number of hotel workers or resort workers that have to be dropped off. If you go after about 9:30, then it's generally not as crowded. We started this trip at 9:30, we caught the 9:30 bus. Now you can also take a taxi or an Uber to Boca, but that cost would be approximately somewhere between 200 and 400 pesos. We always like taking the bus, we just feel it's part of the adventure, and it's so easy to do. One of the great things about taking the bus is that it runs right along the mountains, right along the edge of the coast, so you get to look at the coastline, and every once in a while you can spot a whale. And the countryside is absolutely beautiful. Boca de Tomatlan is the last stop on this particular bus route, so where you get off the bus is where you'll pick it up if you decide to come back this way and head home back to Puerto Vallarta. So the bus will drop you off at the top of the hill in Boca de Tomatlan. It's not a very big city, so very easy to navigate. So the next step is just head on down the hills, a straight shot right to the water, and there'll be a number of people there who will be offering you tickets or just a straight boat ride over to your destination of choice. Today we're going to Quimixto, and the price they offered us initially was 120 pesos each way, or 240 pesos. Because we had 11 people in our group, I was able to negotiate it down to 100 pesos, and I only requested a one-way trip. Now here's a pro tip for you. Most of the restaurants in Quimixto or any of the other locations can you order a boat, so don't book a return trip in a time, because then that will restrict you. So just get the restaurant owner to order you up a boat for about the same price when you want to come back, and that leaves you free to select whatever time you want to come back, depending on your circumstances. At the river, where you'll find most of the water taxis and fishing boats just parked, but we'll be going to the right shortly once we negotiate our deal to get a water taxi. And there's a small dock, actually a large dock there, but it's under construction. They're just finishing it up, so we'll be getting off on a small dock to get into our boat. And don't worry about finding a boat. There's so many people here who want to make some money by ferrying you over to one of the locations, Las Animas, Quimixto, Yalapa. So lots of different vendors to select from. So this is a freshwater stream coming out of the mountains and into the ocean. A lot of the guys will park their boats in here to keep them safe out of the ocean from the rougher water. You can see there's a channel leading into the bay. And I always like stopping here, especially if I have new people with me, because it is just really picturesque. A great place for taking a few photos. So we negotiated our price for our water taxi, and we're now following our fishing boat, our water taxi captain, I should say, and heading over to the boat and the docks. Boca de Tomatlan also has a small beach and lots of different beach clubs or restaurants here, so also a great place to spend the day if you're interested. You don't need to grab a boat and spend that money if you just want to hit a small place a little bit out of the way and to enjoy yourself. So the town of Boca is actually building a new pier. It's almost done, unfortunately not open, and once it's done it'll make getting on and off the boats a lot easier, but at this particular time we're just going to go to a very small temporary dock and get on our boat and head on over to get to Quimixto. The ride over to Quimixto should be around 15 minutes. Now you can hike to Quimixto from Boca de Mazatlan. It's approximately 7 kilometers or about 3.5 hours to walk there. Very enjoyable hike. I would rank it as a medium difficulty hike because there's a couple of sort of difficult sections, but overall very enjoyable and very doable if you take your time. Today we were feeling a little bit relaxed, so we decided to take the boat over and just enjoy as much time as we could at the falls and then at the beach in Quimixto. Also, seeing the coastline from the water, from the boat, is just absolutely spectacular, and one thing I would highly recommend if you're in Puerto Vallarta. And especially if you decide you don't want to hike back or come back by water taxi this way, rather go to a different spot, either directly to the Los Muertos Pier or to another town such as Mismaloya, you really don't want to miss seeing this coastline from the water side. This is Calamitos Beach, and to the left is a restaurant called the Ocean Grill, really famous in these parts. A lot of people will come to Boca, take a boat over to this beach, and go to this particular restaurant. It's really well liked and it has high recommendations from a lot of people. I've never tried it myself, but one day I hope to. So on the right there's a boat passing us. It must be a fishing boat, judging by all the frigate birds and pelicans hanging around it. They're probably cleaning fish and throwing pieces out, and that's why the birds are congregating around it. We're now approaching Quimixto, and on the beach are the beach clubs that we'll be heading to after we see the falls. But first we have to get off on the local pier and head into town. When you leave the falls, and if you want to come back to Quimixto, there's always water taxis here. You can just wave one down or talk to one of the shop owners and they'll call you one over, or do like what we're planning to do. We're going to go to a beach club, and then the owner of the restaurant there will call a water taxi when we're ready to head out. So the pier in Quimixto, as you can see, is actually well designed and well maintained, very solid, and it has a great pathway that takes you right into the little fishing village of Quimixto. And if you're a curious person, especially if you have young children, look into the water, because sometimes you'll see fish and you'll definitely see lots of crabs along the way. So welcome to Quimixto. This particular town, there is no roads into it, so all their supplies are brought in by boat. So there's always a lot of traffic along this little stretch here. It's really only one road through the town, and then a pathway that takes you up to the falls. The good news is that this is becoming a very popular tourist place or excursion location because the falls are so nice. Therefore, they've paved half the path all the way to the falls to make it a lot more accessible to everybody. So if you're looking for an excursion that you can take young children with you or people with only slight mobility issues, this is probably the excursion that you want to do. And if you don't feel like walking, you can always rent a horse or mule, or donkey I should say, and they will transport you right to the falls. The distance to the falls is only 2 kilometers, which is a little over about 1 1/3 miles. The town was a fishing village. I think there's still fishing going on, but there's lots of different little shops and restaurants now and bars along this main walkway, but you exit the town to go to some of the nicer beach clubs, and I'll show you how to do that on the way back. The town is also being recognized or become known for surfing. Now today the waters were pretty calm, but I've been here when the waters have been pretty rough, and there have been a lot of people out with their surfboards. There are a number of different little stores, or tiendas as they call them here, where you can get water or some other type of beverage. So if you're thirsty, now's the time to grab it, because once we hit the path, you won't be able to buy anything until you reach the falls, which is about 2 kilometers from the dock. So after about half a kilometer, you've reached the end of the town, and this is where you'll find horses that you can rent, and you can ride up to the falls if that interests you. But the first challenge here is you can either walk across the sand, and there are some planks over some of the little streams passing by now, or you can walk across this large suspension bridge. It's a little bit wobbly, so if your balance isn't great, you might want to walk across the planks or even take off your shoes and walk across the shallow water at this point. The water levels can be higher in November, but they're generally not deep and the water doesn't move fast, so it's really not that difficult to do it. And this bridge is actually fairly stable, but if you get a lot of people on it, it can sway back and forth a little bit. So if your balance is not great, take a walk across the water.
Next time.
The way back, I'm gonna go.
How many times have you done this one this year, Dave?
Probably 5 times.
There, on the bridge myself, not on
I think this is the 5th time.
I smell some very stinky horses. And sand emissions. It's just something. Let me just check if it's safe. It's safe.
I was thinking, well, this is really, really easy, and then I,
High vision, wet feet there.
Oh, it would be. Yeah.
Well, you
Just
got
like
it.
going over boards and stuff.
You envision?
Yep, all the nature, all the big plants. Just like my picture.
But they plowed it through.
So there are a couple of different river crossings here. None of them are overly difficult. They generally have planks across them, so you don't have to get your feet wet. But in November, it can be a little bit higher, and you do need to take your shoes off and wade across it. But for the most part, the water is no higher than, let's say, knee-high would be the extreme, I would think, and mostly it's just up to your shins. I think the biggest difficulty in getting to the falls here is actually sometimes they don't clean up the horse poop along the pathway, so you got to walk around that. On this particular day, everything was actually well maintained, and we had no difficulties whatsoever. As you can hear from some of the banter coming from the kids, they're really enjoying this particular hike. They love the swinging bridges. They like going over the planks. It's just a big adventure for them and everybody, actually. As I said earlier, over half the path to the falls is now paved. They wanted to make it more user-friendly or accessible, and they've done a great job at that. So this is where the paved pathway ends. But for a little excursion, they have the local cemetery here. Just veer to the left and spend a few minutes checking it out. So let's get back on our way to the falls. So go back to the main pathway and hang a left. And as you can see, we've lost the pavement and we are now heading on a dirt path to complete our trip. The path is really easy to navigate. It's quite wide, so lots of room to move to the side or walk abreast. Rather enjoyable under the trees, lots of shade, but also lots of filtered sunlight. So you've now made it to the last stream that you have to cross, and once you get over these rocks, you're going to see a beautiful falls known as Quimixto.
Go, Jerome.
Huh? Ta-da!
Mommy, can we walk over the waterfall?
Careful, guys.
This little pool below the falls is not very deep, and it's very common to see a lot of young families just hanging out and swimming here and enjoying the day. Water here is crystal clear, and because it's probably so fresh, there's a lot of fish in the streams. So if you look down, especially into the deeper pools, you'll have a good chance of seeing them. The falls here, they have a bar, restaurant. They also have change rooms and a bathroom. Now, the owners lost a lot of their bar during the last hurricane. A lot of water came down here, removed the bridge, removed their bar, so they're in the current state of rebuilding. They ask that you buy something if you're going to use their facilities. They do have tables and chairs. We always come here and at least have a beer, perhaps some guacamole, and that seems to pay for our admission for sitting and using their chairs, and allows us to be comfortable while we swim at this location. So the bathroom and change rooms are located on the left in this orange building. They also have a little stall here where you can buy some clothing and other souvenirs, but you just need to cross this little bridge now, and there's a sitting area where you can sit down and enjoy the falls, or head on down the stairs after you've changed into your bathing suit and do a little swim to the falls. To my knowledge, Quimixto is one of the larger falls of all the hikes in the area. Definitely, in my mind, one of the most beautiful, and probably has the most water going over it. Well worth the hike here.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's not matter, we're here, Dave. You stand up.
So in addition to taking a look at this beautiful falls, it's also a great place to swim. The water's not overly cold. It is cool, so on a hot day, it's so refreshing to just jump in. And when I say jump in, there's cliffs on either side, and you can do that. But for me, I like to just walk down the stairs and just slide into the water and then swim up to the falls. At the falls, there's a series of ledges you can sit on, so it makes it really enjoyable while you're relaxing in the nice cool water. For the more adventurous types, there's a number of ledges you can jump off into the water. The water is quite deep and quite safe. I mostly see people jump in, but we had one individual here who decided to dive. First time I've ever seen that. You can see here that it was a little bit crowded at the falls today, but the good news is they have lots of tables and chairs, both in the open area where you can catch some sun or under a canopy where you can catch some shade. So we spent about an hour at the falls, and then we decided to head back. So hiked back about 1.5 kilometers until the start of the bridge or where the river was. And then I'll show you here shortly where to turn off to head to the beach clubs. So the turnoff is approximately 100 yards or 100 meters. So after about 100 meters or 100 yards, you'll be turning right down this little laneway or pathway. It is paved currently, but although I don't think they have very much traffic down this particular way. I don't think I've ever seen a car here, and why would there be since there's no car accents? But they do have 4x4s that come through here regularly.
Cocoa, strawberry, vanilla.
Look at this tree here. Look at this tree here.
See, did you see that? Ben and Alex? You got one from her, and then you got to go get the nice tree.
At the end of the paved pathway here, you'll see this large tree here. I believe it's called a banyan tree, and you'll be taking a right. The total distance to the beach club is approximately 1 kilometer from the suspension bridge and river. So this is the final river crossing you have to make, but as I said, instead of going through the water, you can hang a right here and cross over on the suspension bridge.
It's not as wiggly, I think, but well, it could be, if you prefer, you can walk through. It's not a deep river. Just right through, it's not deep. It's really not that deep.
So half our group decided to cross on the suspension bridge, and the other half decided to cross the river on foot. So you just keep on following the laneway right beside the river, and then you'll be hanging right here shortly, and which mirrors the coastline, and that will take you directly to the beach club. So once you see this laneway and bathrooms on the left-hand side, that is the entranceway into the beach and the 2 beach clubs. There's a beach club on the right. I believe it's called Charlie's, but El Volador, the one we selected, is on the left. I've eaten at both beach clubs. I find them both equally good, so which one you select doesn't really matter. I think you'll enjoy yourself, and the scenes and the sights here are just spectacular. As I said earlier, during high tides, this particular beach can have some quite large waves, making it difficult to get into the water. But we came on a day that was very, very calm and was perfect for swimming. So this is El Volador, a beach club right on the beach. If you eat here, you can use their lounge chairs, their tables to hang out. They have a fully stocked bar and a great kitchen. And if you've been out fishing and you've caught your own pescado or fish, so you can bring it here and they'll cook it up for you. The beach is excellent. It's got a rocky outcrop at the one end, which makes it very picturesque. And getting in and out of the water on a calm day such as today is really easy. And there's only really 2 beach clubs at this end of the beach, so it's pretty tranquil and not overly touristic. So this family just came in, they were on a fishing boat and they're bringing in their catch and they're going to have that for lunch.
Cooking up your fish?
Yes, sir.
Ese lo quieren saladeado, ese lo hacemos saladeado, ¿no? Allá al brazo. ¿Lo hacemos o lo hacen? Pues ahí es que no.
I don't know what could be better on a hot day than grabbing a beverage and sitting on one of these chairs and enjoying the sights.
So what do you have there?
Maracuya!
And what is maracuya?
Margarita. Passion fruit margarita, the best.
Nice.
She just did a commercial.
Shrimp chippy.
So we ordered our own lunch. We had some nachos, chicken nachos actually, some stuffed avocados, some ceviche. I even had some coconut shrimp. I can say there were no complaints. Everybody really enjoyed their lunches.
And coconut shrimp.
No, this is avocado shrimp.
Avocado?
Yeah, avocado shrimp.
That looks so good. And some more nachos.
Coconut shrimp.
Right here is coconut shrimp.
Okay, this one.
As opposed to the meal we just had where we didn't care what you want.
So here's a little video of the fish that's been prepared, and they put it between a set of racks and on the grill, and it looks like they're melting some butter to apply to it.
That looks fantastic.
I'm very excited.
So this is the beach in Quimixto. It's very flat here, and on a calm day, very easily to get in out of the water. I really enjoy it because it's not overly commercialized just yet, and has some nice archaeological features like this rocky outcrop at the end. Very enjoyable, very peaceful, very relaxing. And we highly recommend that if you're looking for a beach to hang out on, that you head to Quimixto. And this particular beach is on the east side of the village itself. So we asked the restaurant owner to get us a boat at 3:30, which he did. And instead of going back to Boca de Tomatlan, we arranged to get a tour of Los Arcos and to be dropped off at Mismaloya. We paid 2,200 pesos for the boat, or 200 pesos per person. Considering the fact that it would cost us 100 pesos to go to Boca, I didn't think this was too bad a price because it included a tour of the islands themselves. And we went a lot further in the boat. As you can see, the boat picks you up right on the beach. The easiest way to get in there is obviously take off your shoes and just roll over the lip. Actually a lot more difficult looking than it actually is. Very simple to do. Sometimes the captains will actually reverse the boat, lift the motor, and come back in backwards, and most of the boats have a little step, which makes it simple to actually step into the boat as well. So our trip to Los Arcos, tour around them, and being dropped off at Mismaloya took about 40 minutes. It was really pleasurable. The Los Arcos are a natural rock formation. I believe it's also either a state or a national park, so it's protected. In order to anchor there, you must have a permit, but we weren't anchoring. We were just going to cruise around it and see some of the holes in the rocks or arches that give it its name. It's really quite spectacular, which you'll see shortly.
Is life good? Life's good. Life's good with Dave.
I believe Los Arcos is a bird sanctuary. If you look on the rocks, there's a lot of seagulls and frigate birds and probably a few others that are nesting here. Unfortunately, my video doesn't quite capture them, but believe me, there was a lot of squawking and noise up there, and pelicans were flying all over the place. So as we go around this particular rock, you can see that there's some caverns in the rocks themselves, or arches, hence what gave this series of rock formations their name. A lot of tour companies in Puerto Vallarta bring their clients here. They have a roped off area where they can actually snorkel. There's lots and lots of fish here. I've done it myself. One pro tip, if you are going to snorkel here, bring some bread with you, keep it in your pocket, and then bring it out when you're in the water and the fish will just swarm you. As our captain did not have a license, we could not stop here, but we can cruise around it. So we headed over to one of the main arches here. This actual arch is a hole through the entire rock, so you can see the sunlight at the other end, and we were able to photograph different aspects of it. So once some of the other tourist boats cleared out of the way, our captain was able to put us right underneath the rock, right at the entrance. I guess that must get a little shallower at the other end because I didn't observe any of the boats going right through to the other side. So after spending a few minutes here, we pulled back out and we headed on over to Mismaloya. Mismaloya is the closest beach town to Las Arcos, so I believe that if you want to come out and visit Las Arcos and probably save a few dollars rather than taking a boat from the pier, taking the bus to Mismaloya for 10 pesos and grabbing a little panga like we have here, probably be the most economical way of seeing Las Arcos. But I would see if you could search out one of the boats who has a license to anchor there, and then maybe you can do a little snorkeling as well. I know there's some advertisements and companies on the beach in Mismaloya that do offer those services, but I've never done it, so I can't tell you what the price is. Now, Mismaloya has some claim to fame. The movie Night of the Iguana was filmed here. It's a John Huston film. Richard Burton was the main star in the film, and at that time he was dating Elizabeth Taylor, and she was in town in Puerto Vallarta, and I believe the film was made in 1964, and since that time the film put this particular area of Mexico on the map, and it started to become a tourist destination. Other films have been made here in the nearby area, such as Predator, the Arnold Schwarzenegger film. At the entrance to the Bay of Mismaloya, there is still remains of the movie set for the Night of the Iguana. Mismaloya is a picture-perfect former fishing village. It sits right on the Bay of Banderas in a little cove. It's absolutely gorgeous, great beach, easy to get in and out of, and lots of different beach clubs and restaurants to hang out in. They have a freshwater stream that runs into the bay. At this point, it's not overflowing, so the guys push up the boats and put them in the bay. Anytime that the water is rough, it's really a safe harbor for them. So if you get a chance and you want a day trip away from Puerto Vallarta, it's just 10 pesos to take the bus to come to Mismaloya, hang around the beach, walk over to the former movie set, and then grab some lunch at one of the beach clubs here. So this is a freshwater river. Currently it doesn't flow into the ocean because it's not flowing very rapidly, but you'll still see that all the boats are here. The guys just basically push them up across the sand and leave them here as a safe harbor so they don't get damaged if there's any high waves or a storm that comes through. So that pretty much completes our tour. From here we walked up to the road, the main highway, and grabbed the bus back to Puerto Vallarta. I hope you enjoyed the video.